The Young and the Restless spoilers shock Tuesday full episode September 16, 2025. The fragile balance in Genoa City begins to wobble again, and at the center of it lies the entangled emotions of Kyle, Claire, and the growing specter of Holden Novak, with Victoria and Nate weaving their own perspectives into the narrative. For Victoria, watching Kyle's devotion to Claire is bittersweet. She sees a man who genuinely loves her so deeply, in fact, that the fear of losing her consumes him. She knows this type of love, the desperate, clinging kind that can quickly turn protective into possessive, and while she understands Kyle's intentions are rooted in sincerity, she also knows how suffocating such behavior can become. When Claire confides that Kyle is starting to seem a little possessive, recounting how he confronted Holden and ordered him to stay away from her, Victoria tries to temper her response. She urges patience, telling Claire to give Kyle time to recognize that fear can twist love into something sharp-edged, and that forgiveness may help him soften. It is the voice of a woman who has lived through such patterns before, but one who still believes love can be salvaged if nurtured carefully. Meanwhile, at Crimson Lights, another thread of the story begins to unfold. Kyle, already restless and uneasy about Claire's new association with Holden, crosses paths with Nate. Ever since Nate's own life with Audra unraveled, their interactions have carried an undercurrent of tension, but this time the meeting starts with wary humor. "I'm not about to get punched in the face, am I?" Kyle quips, aware of how volatile emotions can run in this city. Nate, though, has no intention of turning their encounter into a physical fight. He is too pragmatic for that. Instead, he assures Kyle that he holds no grudge, not even blaming him for the collapse of his romance with Audra. To Nate, the responsibility lies squarely on Audra's shoulders, and his tone carries the weary detachment of someone who has learned to let go. But Kyle, ever consumed by his preoccupation with Claire's safety, cannot resist steering the conversation toward Holden. He asks Nate for his opinion, fishing for reassurance but also validation. Nate's answer is direct and tinged with foreboding. "I'm not a fan of Holden," he elaborates, saying he has a gut feeling the man is trouble. A sense that Holden has never let go of Audra and still circles her like a shadow. To Nate, Holden is a bad omen, a dangerous distraction, and he warns Kyle accordingly. "If I were you, I'd stay away." Those words burrow deep into Kyle's already anxious mind, feeding his suspicion that Holden is exploiting Claire's vulnerability, manipulating her in a way she refuses to see. For Kyle, this is confirmation of what he already feared, that Holden is an interloper, a threat he must guard against. The moment turns more charged when Victoria and Claire arrive, walking into Crimson Lights and inadvertently catching Kyle mid-conversation with Nate. Nate, ever the gentleman, extends an invitation for them to join, and Claire's playful remark slices through the tension like a knife cloaked in charm. She teases them, asking if they are bonding or swapping more stories, a quip that hides her suspicion that the subject of Audra, or worse, Holden, has been on their tongues. She adds lightly, "I guess you were talking about Audra or maybe Holden." It is an accusation wrapped in humor, but the sharpness is not lost on Kyle. He lies quickly, dismissing the conversation as too boring to share, hoping to veil his obsession with Holden from Claire. Yet Claire is not blind. When Victoria excuses herself to walk Nate out, Claire seizes the moment to confront Kyle quietly. Her tone is casual, but her words carry weight. She knows they were talking about Holden. Kyle, and flinching, admits as much, bolstered by Nate's warning. He insists that Nate doesn't trust Holden either, as though the alignment of opinions justifies his suspicions. But Claire, already suffocating under the intensity of Kyle's protectiveness, pushes back. "I don't need to be protected," she tells him firmly, drawing a line between love and control. To her, Kyle's relentless attempts to guard her from every perceived danger are beginning to blur into something oppressive. She wants space, independence, and the right to judge Holden for herself. The entire encounter lays bare the fragile state of their relationship. Kyle's love for Claire is raw and consuming, but it teeters dangerously close to possession, his fear of losing her twisting into control. Claire, caught between gratitude and frustration, begins to feel the walls closing in, her need for freedom colliding with Kyle's instinct to protect at all costs. Victoria, wise from her own scars, urges tolerance, but she cannot deny the seeds of strain sprouting between them. Nate's warning about Holden hangs heavy, casting a shadow over Claire's attempts to assert her independence. And Holden, though not present in the cafe, looms as a catalyst for everything, a figure who may not only threaten Claire's stability but also test the strength and boundaries of Kyle's love. In Genoa City, the truth has a way of surfacing, and so do hidden motives. Was Nate's warning about Holden grounded in genuine intuition, or colored by his lingering resentment toward Audra? Was Kyle truly defending Claire, or simply projecting his fear of abandonment onto her choices? And most importantly, was Holden really a threat, or was he simply a mirror reflecting the insecurities of the men who feared losing the women they loved? These questions linger in the air, unanswered but potent, ready to ignite the next chapter of conflict. The undercurrents in Genoa City rarely remain hidden for long, and in this chapter of shifting loyalties, secret agendas, and fragile alliances, Cain finds himself at the heart of a storm that could easily spiral beyond his control. On the surface, his plans are ambitious but deceptively simple: harness new technology, expand influence, and leverage the abilities of those around him to build something enduring. But ambition always comes at a cost, and Cain's reliance on figures like Billy Abbott, Amanda Sinclair, Michael Baldwin, and even Phyllis Summers is beginning to reveal cracks that may widen into deep fissures. On Cain's so-called choo-choo train, Amanda voices her concerns openly, proving once again that she is one of the few people willing to challenge him. She questions his decision to entrust anything as volatile and game-changing as AI technology to Billy. Billy's track record has been plagued with missteps, reckless ventures, and bursts of overconfidence that leave disaster in their wake. Amanda, sharp and cautious, knows this better than most. To her, it feels like handing dynamite to a man who doesn't even realize the fuse is lit. Yet Cain brushes aside her worry with a quiet, almost smug reassurance. To him, Billy only believes he is in control. In truth, Cain is holding the reins. It's a dangerous calculation, the kind of overconfidence that Amanda recognizes as a hallmark of Genoa City's downfall stories. Still, she remains tethered, and willing to abandon Cain but unable to silence the voice in her head warning of the chaos that may come. The conversation pivots, as it often does in Cain's orbit, back to Lily. Despite everything that fractured their bond, Cain still yearns for a bridge to her world. He leans on Amanda, urging her to build a friendship with Lily, almost as though Lily's forgiveness might be unlocked through Amanda's gentle persistence. "Find out if she can still see something good in me," he pleads. This request places Amanda in an awkward position, balancing her loyalty to Cain with her respect for Lily's independence. When she later visits the society, she takes a subtle approach-like conversation with Devon, masking her true purpose, before carefully seeking a private word with Lily. Her mission is simple, yet it carries an emotional weight that could shift multiple dynamics at once. If Lily softens, it grants Cain leverage. If she resists, Amanda's loyalty to Cain may begin to corrode. Elsewhere, another alliance quietly takes shape, this time between Michael Baldwin and Phyllis Summers. At the observation deck, Michael confides in Phyllis that they are once again, in a roundabout way, working together, since he is now on Cain's payroll. For Phyllis, it's an uncomfortable irony as friends. They now stand on opposite sides of loyalty and trust. She admits to missing their camaraderie, but she cannot forgive the moment when Michael turned his back on her. Nevertheless, she acknowledges the truth. With their combined intellect and sharp instincts, Cain has armed himself with a formidable team. Still, her suspicion quickly rises. Phyllis, ever perceptive, demands to know how Michael plans to deal with Victor Newman, a man who towers like a giant over any scheme in Genoa City. Michael hedges, speaking vaguely, and admits that he's keeping Cain's patronage hidden even from his own wife, Lauren. He suggests he might claim to her that his extra income comes from side cases, trivial legal work that hardly explains the secrecy. Phyllis's eyes narrow. She has known Michael too long, too well, and his words strike her as a carefully constructed smokescreen. "You're hiding something," she accuses, sensing the half-truths woven into his explanation. She presses harder, demanding to know what he isn't telling her, what shadows he is operating in. Michael, skilled in evasions, tries to deflect, but Phyllis remains unconvinced. It's then that her threats surface as sharp and compromising. If Michael refuses to be honest with her, she will go directly to Cain. She will expose her doubts, sow suspicion, and make sure Cain knows that Michael may not be the trustworthy ally he pretends to be. The threat carries weight because Phyllis knows how to plant doubt, and once planted, it grows quickly in a city where betrayal is the norm. Michael, faced with this possibility, realizes he may have underestimated Phyllis, forgotten that even when they aren't aligned, she remains one of the most dangerous players in the game. The stage is now set for a multi-front conflict. Cain risks losing Amanda's faith if his gamble with Billy implodes, while Amanda herself risks entanglement in Cain's personal longing for Lily. Phyllis, torn between nostalgia for Michael and suspicion of his secrecy, positions herself as a potential disruptor of Cain's strategy. And Michael, the once principled lawyer who now dances in the shadows of Cain's schemes, is left balancing lies at home, secrecy at work, and the very real possibility of exposure. The question now is not whether this delicate web will unravel, but who will be caught in its threads when it does. Will Amanda protect Cain from his own overconfidence, or will she become collateral damage? Will Lily reopen her heart to Cain, or will she reinforce the wall he's desperate to tear down? And when Phyllis forces Michael's duplicity into the open, will Cain view him as a liability or as an asset too dangerous to discard? In Genoa City, the smallest crack often heralds an earthquake, and this one is beginning to tremble beneath their feet. In Genoa City, nothing stays buried forever, and the weeks ahead promise to expose the deepest cracks in love, trust, and family bonds. Beneath the familiar glamour of Newman Towers and the sharp edges of Chancellor Winter's boardrooms, the lives of Victoria Newman, Clare, Kyle Abbott, Phyllis Summers, Michael Baldwin, Cain Ashby, Amanda Sinclair, and Lily Winters are about to collide in ways that threaten to shatter the fragile balance each of them has struggled to maintain. The story is one of love that burns too fiercely, mistrust that festers in silence, and family wounds that refuse to heal, all woven together in the endless drama that defines the young and the restless. For Victoria, her journey has always been defined by impossible choices, the kind that come with being Victor Newman's daughter and inheriting both the weight of his empire and the turbulence of his personal life. She knows the taste of betrayal as well as the warmth of loyalty, and those lessons are etched into her advice to her daughter Clare, who now finds herself wrestling with the intensity of Kyle Abbott's devotion. Kyle has always been passionate, but lately his love has begun to morph into something sharper, something Clare feels pressing too close. She admits to Victoria that Kyle is becoming possessive, revealing how he confronted her new acquaintance, Holden Novak, with a warning to stay away. It was not the act of a calm, secure man but of one gripped by fear, determined to guard what he believes is his at any cost. Clare's voice trembles between love and unease as she confesses this to her mother, hoping for understanding, perhaps even validation. Victoria listens quietly, her eyes shadowed with memories of her own past, when love turned into control and left scars that time could not erase. And yet, despite her own history, Victoria counsels patience. She tells her daughter that Kyle's possessiveness comes from fear, not malice, that beneath his desperate attempts to hold on lies a man terrified of losing the woman he loves. Give him time, she advises softly. Be tolerant, be forgiving. Whether this advice will protect Clare or leave her more vulnerable remains uncertain, but for now, Victoria chooses compassion over confrontation, urging her daughter to believe in love's ability to soften over time. While Victoria tries to guide her daughter with caution and empathy, another storm brews elsewhere, carried on the shoulders of Phyllis Summers and Michael Baldwin. Their long history, marked by friendship, betrayal, and an easy reconciliation, is once again put to the test. Michael, who now operates in the shadows of Cain Ashby's ambitions, believes himself capable of balancing his personal life, his loyalty to Lauren, and his secret dealings. But Phyllis sees through him. She always has. In an intimate conversation, Michael admits that he is working with Cain, though he hides the full extent of his involvement, cloaking his role in half-truths about side cases and extra income. Phyllis's eyes narrow as she listens, her instincts prickling with unease. For years, she has navigated the treacherous waters of Genoa City by trusting her intuition, and that intuition now screams that Michael is hiding something deeper, something more dangerous than he admits. She presses him for the truth, but he evades, his lawyer's training giving him the tools to construct a story that dances her on the edges of honesty without ever touching it. Frustrated, Phyllis lays down her ultimatum. If he does not come clean, she will go directly to Cain, expose her doubts, and convince him that Michael is not to be trusted. The thread is sharp, carrying the weight of their shared history, and it reminds Michael of a truth he had perhaps forgotten. Phyllis is never to be underestimated. In her hands, doubt is a weapon, and once she plants it, it grows quickly. For Michael, the danger is not just in what Cain might do if he begins to doubt him, but in what Lauren might think if the weight of honesty crumbles. Phyllis's mistrust becomes both a challenge and a warning. Secrets never stay buried, not in Genoa City, and certainly not between two people who know each other too well. As these battles of trust and control play out, Cain Ashby continues his quiet, desperate campaign to reconnect with Lily Winters. He knows that direct confrontation will only push her further away, so he enlists Amanda Sinclair, a woman who has become both his ally and his confidant. Cain asks her to reach out to Lily, to build a friendship, and to find out if any trace of forgiveness remains in Lily's heart. For Amanda, the request is uncomfortable. She respects Lily and knows the pain Cain caused her, yet she cannot ignore the sincerity in his plea. Reluctantly, she agrees, stepping into a role that could either mend broken bridges or sever them entirely. Her loyalty to Cain places her in a delicate position, caught between supporting him and honoring Lily's boundaries. Lily, meanwhile, wrestles with her own turmoil. In a quiet moment with her brother Devon, she shares that she has spoken with her children about Cain. The call itself is not shown, but its weight lingers in her voice as she recounts it. Devon, ever protective and pragmatic, asks her the question that hangs in there like a shadow: can the children ever forgive their father? Lily hesitates, her silence heavy with years of heartbreak, mistrust, and the scars of betrayal. Finally, she admits that she does not know. The words are simple, but they echo with the complexity of a mother who wants to protect her children yet cannot deny the lingering pull of the man who once shared her life. Her uncertainty is not just about the children's forgiveness but about her own. Can she forgive Cain for what he has done? Can she trust him again, even a little? Or has too much damage been done, leaving only fragments of what once was? Devon listens, offering his support, but he knows that the answers must come from Lily herself, and that the choice she makes will ripple far beyond her and Cain, touching everyone around them. Together, these storylines form a complex mosaic of love, trust, and redemption. Victoria counsels her daughter with wisdom tempered by pain, but whether her advice will protect Claire or blind her to the dangers of Kyle's possessiveness remains uncertain. Phyllis sharpens her suspicions into weapons, ready to expose Michael's secrets and unravel Cain's fragile alliances, while Michael himself dances dangerously close to the edge of exposure. Cain seeks redemption through Amanda's efforts, but Lily's uncertainty threatens to unravel his hopes before they can take root. In Genoa City, nothing exists in isolation. Each choice, each word, each secret becomes a thread in a web that binds them all together. And as these threads tighten, the tension builds toward an inevitable breaking point. The brilliance of this unfolding drama lies in its layers. Claire's confession to Victoria is not just about Kyle's behavior but about the fear that love itself may be her undoing. Victoria's advice is not just maternal guidance but a reflection of her own survival in a world where love and control often blur. Phyllis's mistrust of Michael is not merely suspicion but the result of a lifetime of betrayals that taught her to trust no one fully. Michael's secrecy is not only about Cain's schemes but about his own fear of losing control, of losing Lauren, of losing the identity he has built. Cain's reliance on Amanda reveals his desperation to reconnect with Lily, while Lily's uncertainty with Devon underscores the fragility of forgiveness and the heavy cost of broken trust. As the pieces move across the board, the audience is left to wonder, will Kyle's love for Claire ultimately save her or smother her? Will Phyllis expose Michael before he exposes himself? Will Cain's gamble with Amanda reopen the door to Lily's heart, or will it seal it shut forever? And in the quiet moments between the chaos, will Victoria's advice to her daughter prove wise, or will it allow a dangerous pattern to fester unchecked? These questions hang in the air, unanswered but alive, fueling the tension that pulses through every frame of the story. In the end, Genoa City thrives on uncertainty, on the fragile balance between love and betrayal, truth and deception, redemption and ruin. What unfolds next will not just define the lives of these characters but reshape the very fabric of their relationships. And as always, the answers will not come easily because in The Young and the Restless,